Have you ever felt this way? Betrayed by someone you trusted? Feeling like you're the only one losing out? Why did I ever get involved with someone like that? Whether it's a friend, a boss, or family, so many people struggle with relationships, wearing themselves down. But I want to say this. Poor judgment in people can ruin your life. Your connections with others are your life itself. If you meet good people, you'll be happy. If you associate with bad people, you will inevitably become exhausted and even lose your luck. Failure in relationships isn't bad luck. It's your own responsibility for not choosing, for not noticing that in my years managing people, I've seen hundreds, thousands of individuals. I've hired people, nurtured them, trusted them, and been betrayed. Through it all, I've come to one certain conviction: cut ties with anyone who says these words. It's not about education or titles. It's not about looks or how they speak. It's about the words they use in everyday life. Because the words that come out of someone's mouth reveal the roots of their heart. People without gratitude have no gratitude in their words. Arrogant people have barbs in their words. People who look down on others show it in their tone, even when smiling. No matter how much time you spend with such people, they will inevitably hurt you someday. Put another way, if you cultivate an eye for words, you cultivate an eye for people. People who repeatedly fail in relationships lack the training to read others' true nature from the nuances of their speech. This time, I'll share with you the criteria for judging people I've gained in this life, distilled into 7 words. You must not associate with those who utter these words. I have solid grounds and reasons to state this unequivocally. Knowing them will change how you see people. It will change your life. Above all, it will protect your own heart. Now listen, the 7 traits of people you should cut ties with. First teaching: luck never comes to those who say, "I have no luck." The most obvious and most dangerous verbal habit in relationships. That is the phrase, "I have no luck." I had bad luck. I'm unlucky. Once again, only I got the short end of the stick. You might find yourself sympathizing with such people somewhere, especially if you're kind. But I want to shout this from the rooftops. Luck will never favor those who say bad luck. It's not mere coincidence. That mindset itself drives luck away. For example, imagine you entrust someone with a task. When the outcome fails, will that person reflect and say, "My apologies, I fell short"? Or will they blame fate? The timing was just off. Seriously, I've been unlucky lately. Which person would you trust next time? The answer is obvious. Opportunities only come to those who take responsibility. But people who say, "I have no luck," blame failures and problems on someone or something else. There's no growth or learning there. In my long career as a manager, I never promoted employees who said, "I have bad luck," no matter how capable they were. Why? Because distrust spreads around that person. Blaming the boss, blaming subordinates, blaming timing, blaming the economy. They make everything but themselves the villain. People quietly drift away from such individuals. Does this ring a bell for you? Haven't you heard someone you find exhausting say, "I'm just unlucky," over and over? Even if it starts as a joke, when it's repeated twice, 3 times, you start to see their true colors. What's truly frightening is that this mindset can infect you too. Even if you started out encouraging them, you might unknowingly start thinking, "Maybe I'm unlucky too." Staying close to someone who uses bad luck as an excuse makes you become someone who uses luck as an excuse yourself. That's why I say, keep your distance from people who constantly say, "I have no luck." Human relationships are an exchange of emotions. When you interact with people who live with gratitude, you naturally start feeling thankful yourself. Conversely, spending time with those who think, "I'm the only one with bad luck," quietly breeds discontent and envy in your heart. Humans are shaped by their environment, and what shapes us most powerfully are words. That's why I want you to remember this. Staying close to people who say, "I have no luck," will make your own luck slip away. That's the first lesson I learned through my life. The second lesson: the fate of those who cannot say thank you. In human relationships, there's one word I have always held most dear. That word is thank you. As long as a person maintains a grateful heart, they will not rot. Conversely, no matter how talented or capable someone is, A person who forgets gratitude will inevitably fall somewhere. For a human being, the moment they lose their sense of gratitude, their decline begins. This truth is something I myself have painfully experienced many times. Because gratitude is an expression of humility. To be humble means respecting others and not overestimating yourself. And at its core lies the feeling of thanks to you. Yet in today's world, more and more people act as if it's only natural for others to do things for me, or it's obvious they should notice me. The defining trait of such people is that no matter how much help you give them, no matter how much you support them with a smile, the words thank you never come out. It's not just that they don't say it, they don't even think it. It's your job to do that, right? I didn't ask for it, so I don't need to thank you. This mindset seeps into every word and nuance of their behavior. Haven't you felt it too? Helping someone in trouble, only to be treated afterward as if nothing happened, leaving you feeling strangely empty. That feeling, is proof your heart is kind. But that kindness should be reserved for people who can return gratitude. People incapable of gratitude eventually become takers. They stop giving and start expecting to receive. Then those around them grow exhausted and quietly drift away. I've seen countless employees like this in management. Subordinates who think everything they do is their duty are the ones whose reports to superiors and words to customers become sloppy. What happens then? They lose trust. The atmosphere in the organization deteriorates. In the end, they find themselves cornered. Gratitude, you see, is more than just words. It's a way of life. For example, saying, thank you for always cleaning to the person who cleans. That brings a smile to their face. When you eat at a restaurant, saying, thank you for the meal to the cashier. That changes their day. It's the people who value these small acts of gratitude that I can trust. It's to those people that I have entrusted opportunities. Conversely, people who can't say thank you have a habit of taking things for granted deep down. That's why I want to tell you, gradually distance yourself from people who can't express gratitude, because it wears down your spirit, because your natural kindness will be taken advantage of. And above all, happiness cannot thrive in a world without gratitude. Live with people who value thank you. That is the sure choice that will enrich your life. Third teaching, keep your distance from people who respond with, but, or isn't that impossible? When you try to start something new, but isn't that impossible? You should just give it up. Face reality. Don't you have people around you who say things like that? At first glance, it might seem like they're worried about you. But you know what? I think those are the words you need to be most careful about. Surround yourself with people who focus on how to make things happen, not why they can't. This is a mindset I've cherished since I was young. No matter what you try to do, people will always find a mountain of reasons why it can't be done. No money, no time, no experience too old. If you start listing those, you'll never get started on anything. But for those who ask, how can we make this happen? Paths open up. Luck even comes their way. When I started manufacturing electrical appliances, I had no capital, no expertise. I only had a middle school education. People around me said all sorts of things. Electricity is dangerous. This isn't something an amateur should touch. You're bound to fail. But I thought to myself, maybe that's true. But that's exactly why it's worth doing. Every new challenge begins with voices of doubt. You probably have them around you too. People who respond with, but whenever you try to start something, they don't mean any harm. They just assume you can't do what they couldn't. If you take those people's words to heart, invisible chains will wrap around your soul. Every time you try to challenge yourself, that but will echo in your head. That voice isn't someone else's. It becomes your own before you know it. That's the scariest part. That's exactly why I want to tell you. Keep your distance from people who respond with, isn't that impossible? Of course, you don't need to cut them off coldly. Just create some emotional space. Instead, surround yourself with people who affirm your dreams with sounds interesting. You should try it. Those are the people who will push you forward and believe in your potential. I know firsthand how incredibly reassuring that is. Your relationships determine your future. If you surround yourself with people who look for reasons why you can do it, you'll become someone who can do it. If you hang out with people who only use negative words, your life will shrink and end. So engrave this in your heart. Choose the voice that says, why not give it a shot, over the voice that says, but that's the path that will change the direction of your life. Lesson 4. People who say it's not my fault will always repeat the same mistakes. You've heard these words before, right? It's not my fault. He's the one who messed up. It was just bad luck. It's not my responsibility. Sound familiar? At first, they might sound like lighthearted jokes. But you know what? I believe no phrase reveals human nature more than these words. People who blame others for their failures never grow, because people only learn from their failures. As long as you blame others for those failures, you can't see where you went wrong. That means you'll become someone who can never change. As a business owner, I made countless mistakes. I made bad decisions and caused my employees hardship. But each time, I asked myself, was I too lenient? It was précis, because I found the answer there that I could apply it next time and grow. On the other hand, no matter how capable they are, people who insist, I'm not at fault, repeat the same mistakes over and over. Because they don't reflect. People who don't consider failure their responsibility and always point the finger at someone else never develop the mindset of, I'll do better next time. Worse still, they try to protect themselves by blaming others. That attitude quietly erodes the trust of those around them. You know the type, right? When something goes wrong, they're the first to blame others. They absolutely refuse to admit their own fault. They might seem confident at first, but over time, no one relies on them anymore. And here's the scary part. If you're around people like that, you'll catch the habit of avoiding responsibility too. People who blame others spread that habit like air to those around them. The team's atmosphere turns sour. More people start saying, I don't know, or that's not my job. Before you know it, everyone's just covering their own backs, and you can't move forward. That's what rots an organization. That's what destroys families. That's what dulls your ability to make choices in life. That's why I say, be wary of people who say, it's not my fault. Staying with someone who can't face their own weaknesses will dull your own heart. On the other hand, people who can honestly say, I'm sorry, it was my fault. I've given such people chances time and time again. Why? Because people who can reflect always progress. You've surely felt it too, when someone apologized to you. I can trust this person. That's the root of humanity. Only people who can honestly admit their faults can truly build trust with others. That's why I want you to remember, people who say, I'm not at fault, may seem to be getting by in a moment, but they're actually constantly destroying themselves. And if you get deeply involved with such people, the same poison will seep into your life too. Keep your distance, to protect your heart, to protect your future. The fifth teaching, the hidden face of people who casually say, that guy's useless. He's useless. That person's no good, right? They can't do anything right. Don't you have people around you who casually say things like this? They're everywhere. At work, at school, everywhere. At first glance, they might seem highly regarded, sharp-minded individuals. But you know what? Every time I see someone like that, I've quietly and gently kept my distance. Because those who belittle others are ultimately belittling themselves. Most who look down on others and use dismissive words are trying to hide their own anxieties and inferiority complexes. In other words, they mask their inner weakness by belittling others. As a business owner, I've observed countless employees. What does it mean to nurture people? What does it mean to truly see someone? Through this, I've become certain of one thing. People who are overly harsh on others are lenient on themselves. They assume everyone can do what they themselves can do. They won't tolerate mistakes, laugh at weakness, and refuse to acknowledge effort. People like that poison the atmosphere of an organization. They make everyone else shrink back, creating an environment where only their own opinions get heard. What's more, people who judge others as usable or useless ultimately act based only on their own gain or loss. They'll praise you when it suits them, but when push comes to shove, they'll be the first to shift the blame onto you. You probably have people like that around you too. You shouldn't stay near people like that, because eventually you'll become the one being judged. Someone who is friendly today might call you useless tomorrow. Living with that constant fear wears down your spirit. It grinds your soul. I've always valued the opposite kind of person, Someone who sees others' weaknesses but doesn't blame them, who tries to support them instead. Mr. Slash Ms. takes a little longer, but they're really thorough. Mr. Slash Ms. XX makes a lot of mistakes, but they really try their hardest. People who try to see others' value like this are trustworthy. People aren't machines. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Those who discard others based on whether they can be used or not will eventually face the day when they themselves are discarded by someone else. That's why I want to tell you, behind the words, "that person is useless," lie coldness and calculation. That could become the blade that stabs you someday. The words people use to describe others reveal their true character. If someone around you constantly speaks down on others, deep down, they might be someone who wants to feel superior to everyone else. You need to think carefully about how you interact with such people. Live with people who support others. Connect with people who believe in others. Doing so will make your heart softer and warmer. That's what truly happy relationships are all about. The sixth teaching, relationships with people who expect something in return will eventually break down. I helped them out the other day, but they didn't even say thanks. I lent them something, but they never paid me back. I feel like I'm the only one losing out. You know those people who expect something in return for what they did for you. At first, they seem kind. You think, what a nice person, or they really notice things. But you know what? Those people can suddenly turn cold overnight. Why? Because when their expectation of they should pay me back gets betrayed, their true nature shows. I've seen this happen countless times. And I'm convinced. Think about right and wrong before you think about gain and loss. This means that people who act based on what's right rather than what's profitable are the real deal. In other words, people who act expecting something in return only see others through the lens of gain and loss. Their true nature eventually surfaces. You've probably experienced it too. Someone who is kind and considerate at first, but the moment you fail to meet their expectations even slightly, their attitude changes completely, like they're a different person. After all I did for you, do you even realize how much I sacrificed? They try to force their gratitude onto you. Gratitude is something you feel. It's not something to be forced at in business. I've seen how easily relationships built solely on debt and credit collapse. People who think, I did all the work, so of course I deserve this much in return, get angry and feel betrayed when things don't go as expected. That anger doesn't just hurt the other person. It also destroys their own heart. I believe this. Truly strong people are those who can forget what they've done for others. They act without expecting anything in return, simply because they felt it was needed at the time. That's all. People who interact with others from that place ultimately earn trust. Conversely, those who seek repayment can only build transactional relationships, not trust. That kind of relationship is cold and devoid of warmth. If you get deeply involved with such people, you too will become someone driven by gain and loss. This person is beneficial. This person is a loss, so I won't see them anymore. You start choosing people based on their value. That path dulls your human sensibilities. I want to say this. Choose people who act based on what's right, not those driven by gain and loss. Become someone who can smile even when your kindness goes unthanked. That strength will protect your life. And relationships built without expecting anything in return are the ones that last. They become deep trust. The quiet poison in relationships is people who weaponize favors. That's why you must be careful. People who get angry when you don't repay them. People who constantly complain about how they're the only ones losing out. With those kinds of people, gradually create some distance. That is the path to protecting your own inner freedom. The seventh teaching, the only habit needed to cultivate discernment. So far, I've told you, be wary of people who say these kinds of things. But some of you might be thinking, well then, how can I spot those people? If you're troubled by thoughts like, I can't judge people, or I always fail in relationships, then let me leave you with this final piece of advice. To see through people, look within yourself. This is the essence of human relationships. Your ability to see into others' hearts is directly proportional to the state of your own heart. Whether you trust too much and get hurt, or doubt too much and become lonely, it all stems from your own heart's habits and condition. When I was young, I trusted someone I thought reliable and brought them into my circle only to be betrayed. I've also had company funds stolen. I cried many times, filled with regret and self-pity, wondering why I trusted such people. But then, one day, I thought, even if I blame that person, nothing changes. What matters is why I chose them in the first place. From that day on, before blaming others, I began to look deeply into my own heart. Was I impatient? Did my own greed cloud my judgment? Did I ignore my heart's signals, calculating that partnering with this person will benefit me? All the answers were within me. Humans are strange creatures. When your own heart becomes clear, you start to see the other person's true nature more clearly. For example, if you have a sincere heart, you naturally become aware of the awkwardness in their unnatural speech or attitude. Conversely, if your heart is clouded, you might doubt even their kindness or fail to see the malice hidden behind a seemingly kind facade. In other words, the ability to see people clearly begins with a dialogue with yourself. I've always explained this as having an honest heart. Honesty means being straightforward. It means observing others calmly, free from prejudice, desire, or anger. When you see people with that attitude, no matter how eloquent their words or how polished their facade, you can truly see the depths of their heart. So if you wish to sharpen your ability to see people, start by refining yourself. There's no need to force yourself to doubt. You don't need to strain to see through them. Just quietly observe yourself each day, keeping your own heart always in order. Then, suspicious words, fake smiles, insincere praise, these things will gradually become transparent to you. If your heart's eye remains clear, you will surely meet people worthy of trust. The most important thing for discerning connections with others is increasing the transparency of your own heart. If you can do that, the wrong people won't enter your life. Choosing your connections is choosing your life. To you who've listened this far, there's one final thing I absolutely must convey. Who you associate with determines your life itself. People are shaped by their environment, and the greatest influence within that environment is other people. The people you associate with, the words you exchange, the time you spend together. These shape your thoughts, form your habits, and decide the direction of your life. That's why I want to say this. Change the people you associate with, and your life will change. It takes courage. Even when you feel you don't click with someone, you might drag out the relationship thinking, we've known each other forever. But listen, if the people you associate with constantly negate you, laugh at your efforts, steal your hope, show no gratitude, and just use you, then to protect your life, it's okay to let go of that connection. You don't need to be cold. Just create some emotional distance. That's enough. Instead, cherish those who say thank you. Trust those who encourage you, saying you can do it, just give it a try. Those are the connections that will truly brighten your life. I've been surrounded by such people. They weren't all extraordinary, but they had sincere hearts and never forgot to be grateful. That's precisely why I am who I am today. Starting today, I want you to see people with your own eyes. See their words. What kind of words they speak. That is their very heart. Cut ties with anyone who says this one thing. If these 7 teachings I've shared become a shield protecting your life, nothing could bring me greater joy. Finally, what kind of words do the people around you use? What words make your heart tremble? If something resonated with you, please write that hit home in the comments that it doesn't matter what you notice, feel, or remember about someone. Your words might just be the spark that moves someone else's heart. And if you feel this story holds meaning for your future, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Until next time, I sincerely hope your future is filled with connections to bright people. Thank you for watching until the end.